Welcome back to another video, guys. As always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Today we're going to be reacting to a little bit of a hot take that's been making its way around Twitter and Instagram that I found to be a little bit interesting because obviously I side with the person that most people would not side with. That being said, let's go ahead and get into this one. Many people said that De'Aaron Fox was better than Ja Morant, and it rattled a lot of feathers, and there's a lot of people that were either Ja Morant fanboys or just people that know the game that felt as though Ja Morant is a better player, but unfortunately I cannot agree with them. I lean more towards De'Aaron Fox simply off the strength of the fact that he's been a more reliable player over the course of his career. You know what you're getting from him night in and night out. He's a good leader when he's on the floor. I feel like from watching his games, he's more cerebral and understanding of what's going on the floor and just directing guys to where they need to be. And while he wouldn't quite, by my opinion, be considered a super veteran, but though he is 25 years old, he's been in the league long enough to where he knows what his role is, and he's capable of just telling other guys where they need to be, what they need to do, and what they can expect, and just keeping everybody's heads on straight when they're in the game. Those are just certain qualities I don't see from Ja Morant, and obviously Ja has his off the field antics that have lately been getting in the way of his ability to be a proper player. However, with that being said, that doesn't take away from who he is on the court, and we have to be able to separate the two. Now, looking at it obviously from a totality standpoint, I would rather have De'Aaron Fox because he's not going to be an off the court issue. He's a very positive influence in the community. People speak highly of him. He doesn't have any lick of NBA YoungBoy, Black Air Force activity energy. He's just a good upstanding guy. Now, obviously for Ja Morant, he's had several incidences, with the most recent being him flashing his gun, or alleged gun, on an IG Live story that his friend belonged to. A lot of people were blaming the friend. I disagree, because when I watched the clip back myself, I saw him point the phone at Ja before he had it in his hand. Ja rapping at the phone while looking directly at the camera. If you're on IG Live, you know what IG Live looks like. You know what the setup is. Ja's done IG Lives himself. So for him to look at the phone, then after his boy puts the phone back on himself, then turns it back, for him to just have it out like that, it surprised Mans just as much as it surprised us, because like, why would you do that? But he could have been caught up in the moment, and whatever the case may have been, the league did decide to suspend him, and hitting him with, 20 plus games was a little bit soft for some people's expectations. Some people thought that they were going to hit him for half the season or even the whole year, but the amount of money that he lost was in the tens of millions. So it is significant to his pockets and obviously to his team, because they're not going to have him, though they have a significantly strong winning record when he doesn't play anyways. So that, I don't want to use that as an indictment as to who he is as a player, because obviously he is a valuable player and you love to see him on the court. But in that same vein, he's not as of a necessity to a team like a Stephen Curry or a LeBron James. He's just an addition that makes you just a little bit better, which is great to have when you have a team with that level of depth and that level of just offensive and defensive prowess. But with that being said, I think his team situation just, in many people's eyes, blinds them from who he is as an individual player. When somebody tells me that player A is better than player B, in my mind, that simply means that if I drop both of them in two random situations, player A is more likely to be successful than player B. And honestly, I don't see that from Ja Morant. Now, obviously, I did say that he averaged a point more, but at the same time, to go along with those almost 2 extra rebounds and 2 extra assists, you have to also take into account that he's shooting 6% less from the floor and 2% less from the three-point line. And while that's not necessarily, the most amazing thing in the world, because they're both pretty just middle of the road three-point shooters, it's still important to understand that when you watch them play, Ja Morant is more of the downhill athletic, get to the rim guy. He's going to try and dunk on everybody, even though it's not successful. You can make a highlight tape out of all the dunks that he's missed alone. And while De'Aaron Fox does have bounce, and we saw it more so in the Kentucky days, he doesn't really use it as much. He's more of a snaky sidewinder kind of guy, getting to the rim, getting to his spots from mid-range, whatever the case may be, and creating for his fellow teammates. Now, he obviously has Domantas Sabonis on his team, so things are a little bit different as they run more of a two-man type game, but at the same time, they do have the benefit of having their head coach having been in the Warrior system, So they have a little bit of those tendencies in their game plan as well, which I think overall makes De'Aaron Fox a more well-rounded player. Hence why I say if you drop him in anybody else's system, I think that he has more success individually and has more of an impact on the game plan and on his team's success than Ja Morant, because Ja Morant is run and dunk man to a certain extent, who can pass the ball well, decently so, and he does have the benefit of having certain types of shooters depending on how you feel about Dylan Brooks. He definitely just torched Team USA, so I'm not going to hear that he can't shoot threes, even though his percentages aren't, the most stellar. He does have his streaky portions. But with that being said, I do again lean towards De'Aaron Fox for those reasons, and just simply off the strength of the fact that I've watched him consistently more so, and his team doesn't play as well without him as Ja Morant does. Now, you could argue that Ja Morant has simply the better built team, but from a cerebral standpoint, if you watch them both play, you see a lot more talking and action and communication and direction coming from De'Aaron Fox than you do from Ja Morant. And I would argue that De'Aaron Fox and those boys with the Kings down in Sacramento have a coach that is slightly more well-versed and more cerebral than the coach, obviously, with the Grizzlies in Memphis, but it's not by a significant margin, because the reason why Jaren Jackson Jr. was the Defensive Player of the Year was because of the scheme that coaching staff came up with. With that in mind, though, we got to see a lovely treat being the great playoff series in the first round between the first time in forever Kings with De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis against the Golden State Warriors and Steve Kerr. So it was a person playing in this, it was a system versus a derivative of the system, essentially. And it was a back and forth match the entire time of people actually calling plays. And while I don't necessarily love Steve Kerr as a coach, I saw him genuinely like coaching his behind off the entire series, even up until the point where they got forced to a game 7 and Steph went in that locker room and just said, "I'm going to get the job done, ride with me," and then hit them with that 50 ball. But I'm interested to see what you guys think in the comments down below. Let me know if you agree with me, if there's something that I'm not taking into account that you feel like Ja Morant has that De'Aaron just doesn't, even though I'm not seeing it, besides the just springboard athleticism. I do agree. I would say that De'Aaron Fox is better defensively. He's more quick twitch and he gives just more genuine effort on that side of the ball than Ja. But neither of them is a slouch, I would say. But like I said, let me know what you guys think. Make sure to like the video, comment your thoughts, subscribe and turn on those post notifications, and join the Patreon if you're feeling up to it. And like always, good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.